Whereas if we're drawing outside air, we're not going to bring it in at 21 degrees. So if we're bringing outside air with one of these solar sheets, we'd only go into a HRV. Pretty clear? Cool. So let me talk, I'm getting close to done now, talk about maintenance requirements. The only requirements that I see are a solar hot water system. Roughly every 3 years, we recommend that you do a glycol test, and this is to make sure that that glycol is not breaking down on you. If it becomes acidic, because I've got copper piping and copper absorbers, it's going to start to eat away at the copper. So I liken it to an oil change. It's about $30 worth of glycol. If you've got to change it, it's every 3 years, $30. Not a huge cost. $100 to $150 to get us come inspect the system, make sure it's working fine. I like to think much cheaper than heating companies do on their service contracts. Pool systems, they need to be drained every fall. You can't just turn them off. You got to make sure all the water gets out of there, or you will break the piping. This particular collector, they claim that it's freeze-proof, that these channels will actually allow water to be in there without bursting. If I spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a system, I don't want to take a chance. It's much easier just to drain the system out. And the pipes will, without a doubt, break. Current incentives that are out there. So Eco Energy for homes, that's been mentioned. That's where you get the audit of your home. There's $1,000, so that's combined. That's $500 from Eco Energy, and then the Ontario government matches it. So there's $1,000 total. This PST rebate, which they'll only give you 3% of the total cost because we don't charge PST on systems. So that usually for a solar hot water system amounts to about $200 or so. The renovation tax credit, and I'm wrong here, I said it's up to a total of $1,000. I believe it's actually $1,350. Yeah. So it's after the first $1,000, it's everything after that up to a total of $1,350. What else is out there? Utilities Kingston, Jeff's in the back shaking his head saying, yeah, come see me. They've got a rental program to make it more affordable for homeowners. On the commercial side of things, this is where it's really attractive. 35 to 55% of a solar thermal system can be paid for through the government program. And they just boosted this up recently. They'll now pay for projects up to $400,000. So we're all hunting for those projects. $80,000 project sounded pretty good too. So let me give you a couple of case studies. 2-panel system, and I'll run through this really quickly. It's going to capture approximately 3,900 kilowatt hours of thermal energy per year. And I make sure I say thermal energy because I've had people say, wait a minute, you told me it doesn't make electricity. How can it be a kilowatt hour? Well, that's what we're using. We could call it a BTU. I could call it a joule. People like to talk in kilowatt hours. So we're not making electricity, but we're making thermal energy that's worth 3,900 kilowatt hours. At 11 cents, so say that they're paying electric, which they were in that case, they're going to save $427 per year. It costs them $63.50 to do it. The rebates available right now are $1,000 for Eco Energy, $772 for that. That's your renovation tax refund, and $193.73 with the PSC rebate. So out of pocket, they're down to $43.57. This is where I got that number you saw earlier of a return on investment of 16.7%. Yeah, that's a big frustration. When I first realized that they had done that, I thought it was just purely an oversight, but I would have thought they would have fixed that oversight. I don't see why. I remember asking somebody from NRCan why that's set up that way, and they said, well, anyone building a new home should just do this stuff. So that's great, but yeah, but people won't do it. So it's a frustration for all of us because it should be whoever puts the system on, they're saving the same amount of CO2s. It should be something available to everybody. All I can say is literally just bug your MP and say, hey, what's happening? Mr. Milliken.
Utilities is working with the home builders in the city right now to come up with an incentive for them so federal judge don't have something like that. We're working with them to come up with some kind of incentive for homes to install solar
He's the guy who's shaking his head when.
If they definitely want something, they will do it, but there's nothing yet for them right now.
Yeah. So in payback period, this is where people have always been stuck on, businesses at least, 5-year payback, 3-year payback. An interesting story, we've done a couple of systems for Homestead, the biggest landlord in Ontario. They've widened that horizon to 10 years. They say if we've got energy efficiency measure that's under a 10-year payback, well, we're not going to be out of business in 10 years, so we'll probably pay for it. So they're starting to change. This is what the slide or the ret screen looks like. You've already seen that. Let's look at 8-panel pool system, offsetting natural gas heated pool. So it produces a tremendous amount more energy. Well, we've got a lot more collectors, so it makes sense, but 9,500 kilowatt hours of thermal energy per year. So at 48 cents per cubic meter for gas, that's going to save them $763 per year. What does a system like that cost? About $4,900. They don't have the same rebates. They can now get that tax rebate as well as the PST rebate. There is no eco energy available for pools. Why? Because technically a pool's a luxury. It's not a necessity to have heated pool water. So their out of pocket is around $4,200. That's their return on investment, 23.7%. Take a loan, pay for one of those. It'll pay itself back in no time short. And that's what the ret screen looks like. If you own that pool for 25 years, I think the 25 years may be a bit long for that system, but even 20 years, they're up into $35,000 saved with that system. Now let's look at solar air heating. Like I say, they are just starting to do some analysis on this. So the Solar Research Center has published some numbers on what kind of output, and that's what I've used to calculate this. So one of these will capture approximately 2,500 kilowatt hours of thermal energy per year, according to the numbers they had. If we're offsetting gas, that's going to be annual savings of about $200 per year. A system like that is quite a bit cheaper to install, $2,450 to put on. Rebates available. There is no eco energy rebate, so we've just got the tax rebate as well as the PST. So total out of pocket is $2,159. Return on investment, 9.3%. Not as good as a solar hot water system. Again, why? Because it's not working in the best time of the year for you. The only thing I am a little skeptical about are the numbers. That feels a little bit high to me for energy gain. We just have to wait for some further testing. So, concluding remarks, I'm putting big red that solar thermal is the most cost effective. So if there's anything you want to do, whether it's economics or environmental reasons, it's the smartest to do first if you're going to do anything. Thermal systems, we're seeing return on investments over 10%. And if we're looking at all the technologies, the pool systems are the best payback, even though, again, not everybody has a pool. And that's everything I've got. So. So I'll open it up to, is there time for...
Yeah, I'm just wondering what people would like to do with eating in just to the break time, okay? Do you want to keep going on?
Yeah.
Do you want to just take a 5-minute bio break? Go on? Okay.
Sure.
So maybe we'll be, if there's a few questions, okay, to field a few questions, okay?
Sure.
Then we'll, maybe attend to, or we'll turn the table over to Michael Kittine.
Well, that's a good question.